Right, so first up here we have Dead Demons Dedededede Destruction 1 to 12. That is complete now, but I haven't started reading it. I actually completed a few months ago, I think. We have Dead Man Wonderland 1 to 13, and that is a series complete. I have read it a few years ago. I found the ending very confusing. I did have to read up some explanations about the ending. Then we have Dead Mount Death Play 5, 6, 7, 8. I got these in the Travelling Man warehouse for £3 each. I am missing early volumes, have not yet read it. It's plastic wrap, which I didn't realise. Then we have Deadpool Samurai 1 and 2, and that is complete. This is actually a really great, like, fourth wall break manga. I think it's done rather well. It's a shame it's only 2 volumes, but I do actually think the gimmick might have been lost a little if it went much longer. Do recommend. Then we have Death March to Power World Rhapsody 1 to 4, 14 and 11. Wait, what? They're the wrong way around. It's an isekai. I really enjoyed it to start with, and then there were some questionable themes around like the young girls and such. So now I'm mostly just waiting and finding them in like sale sections or secondhand, which is why I have some random volumes. I've been getting Ben some of the light novels, which he's interested in trying. About a video game developer who's isekai'd into his video game and has like some dev abilities. It's just, why do they have to do this stuff with young girls? Then we have The Death Mage Volume 1, also an isekai. There are more volumes out, but I don't have them. It's very expensive, so I've just held off picking it up basically. It's kind of, I don't think how to describe it. A guy's class gets isekai'd, and all of his class are isekai'd as like heroes and such, and he's isekai'd as like, and he lives a terrible life in this world. He's like experimented on and treated appallingly, and then he's like treated as the villain, and all his classmates from his previous life hunt him down, and he like swears revenge, and he's isekai'd again one last time with abilities and such, and he has just strange powers. It's very strange. It was actually kind of interesting. Next we have, so I've grouped these together because they're DC. I might split them out into their individual series later, but for now, they're together as DC. So we have Batman Justice Buster, the Joker, One Operation Joker, and Superman Meshi. So of the 3, my favourite was Superman, then Joker, then Batman. So in that order, top down. Batman felt like I was just reading a Batman story. It was fine. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. I can't even tell you like the actual story, except it was just kind of like a Batman story. Joker, basically he's accidentally turned Batman into a baby, and he's decided he's going to raise Batman because he misses him and he wants him to be raised into Batman as a justice warrior. So it's the Joker trying to be a parent. It's kind of silly. It's fun to read. It's fine. And then we have Superman Meshi, where Superman's developed a craving for Japanese cuisine, and every chapter is him going over to Japan to eat a different type of Japanese cuisine. My pet peeve about the 3 volumes is they're weirdly stiff. They're like really, really hard to open. You can hear me trying to open it, ish, maybe. But like, I feel like I almost slightly damaged the volume just trying to read it, because it's like really fighting me back, and now my finger is stuck in there. So 2 of them complete at 3 volumes, and one of them said I couldn't find how many volumes the other one had. I'm gonna guess at a wild guess they'll all be 3 volumes. I kind of like this crossover IP with manga. I think it's kind of neat to see. But I really like the Superman one, especially if you like Japanese food and reading about food in manga. Then we have Death Note 1 to 13 and Death Note Short Stories. A classic manga, one I've had for a very long time. It's quite exciting reading short stories because it did make me flash back to when I read Death Note when I was in secondary school, which was a bit weird, but it was kind of neat that it was able to do that after so many years. But yeah, Death Note. Then we have Delicious in Dungeon 1 to 12 and The Adventurer's Bible. Once again, always forgetting that it's called In Dungeon. I didn't notice the little N, I just called it Delicious Dungeon. Delicious in Dungeon. This is such a great read. I think it's getting an anime. Would recommend. It's about what people go into a dungeon and eat things in the dungeon, which kind of has just not really crossed anyone's mind before. Before they'd have to take in rations, and if you ran out of rations you had to get out. But now they're like able to go deeper because they're eating stuff in the dungeon. Ben, I think, is up to date. I am somewhere in the middle of what we've got, but it is a great series. Then we have The Deer King Volume 1. I have not yet read it. I think I'm up to date. I don't think there's many volumes in it, the series, Also might have a light novel, but that's a wild guess, I'm not sure. Then we have Delinquent Daddy Intended Teacher Volume 1, which everyone keeps talking about how lovely the series is, so I need to read mine, but I have not yet. Then we have Demon Love Spell behind these. Then we have Demon Love Spell 1/6, that is complete. I actually completed this really recently because I managed to find volume 6, I want to say maybe on Sci-Fi secondhand. It is a show debate series, it is hard to find. Most of my volumes I've gotten secondhand apart from that one. Also, actually I got the first 1 or 2 from Himika many years ago now, when we did our very first collaboration. Oh, I shouldn't say many years, it makes me feel old. This is a series that like really solidifies my confusion about pointy chins. I mean, such a pointy chin. As we have Demon Prince of Momochi House 1-16, that is complete. I have not finished reading it. I think I got to about volume 8 or 9. A lot of people really like it. I'm not overly fussed, which is fine. I think just I wasn't too keen on the main characters. They just felt a bit wishy-washy for me. But hey ho, I need to at least finish it to decide what I properly think of it. And then we have The Demon Girl Lives Next Door, volumes 3 and 4. Both of these were bought second hand. They are the only copies I have, and I do have early volumes, so I have not yet read the series. And we have Demon Slayer 1-23 and Stories of Water and Flame. So it's complete, and this is a one-shot focusing on different characters. I can't remember if it's just these two or there are other one-shot stories in it. I actually quite like the art style in that one. It is a different it is someone else who draws it in that one. I think Demon Slayer is okay. I think a lot of the hype for the series is around how good the animation in the anime was, which obviously isn't really as much of a thing when you're reading the manga. So I thought it was fine. I just was surprised to see it do as well as it has done. But then I saw some of the fight scenes and they look really good, so I think I get it a bit more. But in terms of like story, I don't think it's like amazing. I also think some of the characters are quite iconic and fun, and people enjoy the characters, which helps. And we have the Demon Swordmaster of Excalibur Academy 1 and 2. I don't think I'm up to date anymore. I haven't started reading it, so I've not rushed to grab more. It's the sort of series I think I'll find in sale sections or secondhand, so I'm holding out for that really. Next we have some Dengeki Daisy 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. As you can see, I got most of these in the sale section of Forbidden Planet Leads. They've all faded. They were like 99p or 1.99. I am missing a bunch of early volumes though, so I haven't been able to start reading it, and I haven't really looked for them that much this year, I think. As you know, that's not true. I have occasionally, but I just don't see them. Next we have Descending Stories 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I am missing volume 1 and volume 3, so I have not yet started reading this. I got, I think, almost all of them from Blackwell's for a pretty good price. They were like £6 something. And they're bigger Caketinz volumes, so they usually cost a whole bunch more than that. Then we have Desire Pandora 1 and 2. I have not yet started reading this. Plastic Wrapped. I think there might be more volumes. I'm fairly sure I'm behind on this series. Next we have Destiny Lovers 1-8, and that is complete, though there is going to be a sequel series. I don't think I've seen anything about if that's getting printed yet. It's an okay series. I kind of wish there was more answers. There's so many questions about like what's happening, what's turning men into these animal things and all that, and why. But otherwise, it's just a shitty plastic wrap series, to be fair. Then we have The Detective Is Already Dead 1 and 2. Both, I think, were picked up secondhand. I have not yet started reading. Then we have Devil's a Part-Timer 1-5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I hadn't realised how much of a clear run I had in the second half of the series. Also, the official comic anthology. A good chunk of these were picked up in the Travelling Man warehouse, I think both times that I went. I think is that where I managed to get volume 4? Or did I get that in the daily deals? But I was missing volume 4 for quite a while. I am still missing some earlier volumes. I've read only the first few because then I ran out, and it's a fun reverse isekai. I feel like it's one of the older reverse isekai series because there aren't even that many to be fair. And we have the Devil's Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 11, and 3 and 4 the wrong way around. I'm not that fussed so far about picking it up that aggressively. All of these I think have been pretty much secondhand or on sale, and I'm going to try and keep it that way. To be fair, I haven't started reading it. I don't really see that many people talk about it, which doesn't bode too well. Also, it's the same manga as Blackguard, which I so far haven't been a fan of, so I'm worried this is going to be the same. Then we have the Devilish Darlings Portal Fantasy, and this is a one-shot. It's a plastic-wrapped one-shot isekai. It's not very good, in my opinion. Also, very confusing ending. I didn't realise it was a one-shot until I got to the end and was like, it doesn't make sense. What's happened? And I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, then we have The Devil's a Part-Timer High School 2. That should be on the previous shelf. Picked it up, I think, second-hand. It's a spin-off from the main series. I only have Volume 2, so I haven't read it. Devilish Candy, Volume 1. I have picked this up a while ago, and I've just not gotten to it yet. There is another volume, I want to say, at least. Then we have a bunch of Defrag. I think the only volume I'm missing is 9 before I'll have a clear run. I'm not sure if 15's the last one, though. These are Ben's been wanting to read this. He's read the first few. He said it wasn't quite what he was expecting it to be. He thought it'd be like a programming club at school or something when they make a game, and he said it's not quite that-ish. He wished it was a bit more like that. Then we have Dreamin, and I am, again, after this year, super close to having a clear run. So I have 1 to 17, and then 19 to 27. So I am only missing volume 18 before I'll have a clear run, which is exciting. This series has been a lot harder to track down, especially some certain volumes for some reason. I don't know if it's getting a reprint or it's had a reprint or what, or I've just been lucky to find secondhand volumes or random volumes in like the back cupboards of a store. Then we have Dick Fight Island volumes 1 and 2. This is definitely a series. It is complete at 2 volumes. There are only 2 volumes. I think volume 2 was honestly a little bit of a letdown in comparison to volume 1. So volume 1 was very much making full gusto of the title, of the fighting. And volume 2 turned into like more like pairing everyone off into relationships, and it's like, what? No, bring back the silliness. It got too like slightly serious, and I think I lost interest with that. But volume 1 is excellent, and then I just lost interest in volume 2. Then we have Daiwa Gelder, volume 1, which Meet the Weeb Dad is on non-stop going on about, and I managed to grab this for like £5 or £6 second hand. It has some creases down the spine, but it's not that bad. I haven't yet read it. I believe there are 3 of these out at the moment. Then we have Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life 1 to 4, and Everyday Misadventures 2 and 3, which is a spin-off, and you can see here, I got that on sale, and I think that was secondhand. I did enjoy this, however, it releases a volume like every 2 to 3 years, and I just don't remember anything that happens. The light novel is well into the teens, if not late teens, so the manga being this slow, it just almost makes it impossible to read when it's a gap that big. So I do enjoy it, but I'm not sure I can recommend it just because you're going to be waiting so long to continue reading it. I just completely forget what's happening on who's what. Next we have Dinosaur Sanctuary. I really enjoyed this series this year. I love the colours on all of the volumes. This mint and purple are like 2 of my favourite colours. It's kind of like a more wholesome Jurassic Park where it doesn't go that wrong. In this world, dinosaurs there's like zoos just for dinosaurs, and each volume is just them trying to drum up business for this dinosaur park and look after the dinosaurs. And it's really, really cute. You learn a lot about dinosaurs. It's really fun. If you're a dinosaur fan, absolutely recommend. I even say potentially it could be good for a younger audience, because that's something I get asked a lot, is what manga is good for children or anyone pre-teen, and it's like, well, it's a bit tricky, to be honest. I feel like Dinosaur Sanctuary could be, but then also it might just depend on the kid. As I was reading all sorts of stuff when I was younger. Next we have Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Tale, and this does have a paired volume called Beast's Tale, which I don't have. It's very hard to find. I have not been able to find it. It's kind of a telling of Beauty and the Beast from Belle's perspective, and I believe Beast's Tale is from Beast's perspective. I would love to try and get the pairing because the covers like have the characters looking at each other. I know I can find the colour one of Beast's Tale, but then it wouldn't match. So I don't know if I just buy the colour one of Belle's Tale as well, but I would quite like this version. And we have Dirty Pair. This is a complete one omnibus. It's not very good, would not recommend at all. Probably one of my worst reads I own, because I just found it super boring, which is almost worse than just bad. It's kind of like, I describe it, detective, scantily clad women in space, and like from that description you're like, oh, that sounds fun. It's just really boring. Then we have Big Hero 6, the series, volume 1. I have not yet read this. I think I'm behind. I'm a bit confused because there is a Big Hero 6 published by Viz or something. There's a few, and I don't actually know which one it is I have. Then we have Monsters Inc., the manga, which I also have not read, and Wall-E, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, At World's End, Toy Story, Nightmare Before Christmas. Oops. I haven't read these. A lot of these are one-shots, though. The Toy Story one is kind of neat because from the front there's the Toy Story story, and then on the back it has a Toy Story 2 story. So you have 2 stories in there, technically. Then we have Twisted Wonderland, Volume 1. I know Volume 2 is out, but I haven't seen it cheap enough yet. So this one's kind of interesting. This one, oh, it has a sticker on it. This one's based off the mobile game, which I did not even realise there was a mobile game. Also, all the character designs are provided by the mangaka for Black Butler, which kind of explains a lot, to be fair. I think it's okay. I think reading it, I definitely felt like I was reading the story for a mobile game. I think for fans of the game, you would love it. I think if you don't know it as well, it might not be for you. Also, I think it's going to be quite long because it has different parts to it. Like here it says Book of Hearts, something. And I think there's going to be a set for like each of the different factions in this school. There's multiple factions in this school belonging to different villains across Disney, the Disney franchises. So I think this one is based on the Queen of Hearts, but some of the other villains is like Scar, Hades, Ursula, probably some more that I've forgotten. I apologise. I think it was okay. Again, I think if you're a fan of the game, you definitely enjoy it. Then we have Cruella, Black, White and Red, which I've not yet read. Frozen 2, the manga, I have read. It's very, very pretty. It's Arena Tamura, super pretty. Though some of the bits where they like sing some of the songs is a bit weird because it kind of feels like they've put them through Google Translate a few times because the words aren't quite right. It's a bit weird. Then we have Disobey the Juke, If You Dare, Volume 1. I just want to say, look how pretty this hollow is. It is so nice. So I have a lot to say, but I'm going to sit down because I have a lot to say. I actually go into a rant in one of my haul videos about this, the one where I actually got this volume. But basically, for momentarily, this was the most expensive manga volume in my collection because this is only available on Amazon.com, which meant that I had to ship it over from to the UK from the US. So the manga volume itself wasn't a bad price. It was about the same price as like an Easy Press. I mean, it is a webtoon. It was about £15.99 is what it worked out at, I want to guess. But then the shipping on top ended up putting it to like £23, which would make it the most expensive volume in my collection. Unfortunately, luckily, I'm not sure, because it's the most I've ever paid, when it arrived with a rip that sort of went into the pages, I got a little pissy and complained, and they ended up giving me a full refund. So, no longer the most expensive volume in my collection, but it is in spirit, I guess. I think because I spent so much on this volume, I got overly critical of it. I think I was expecting a whole lot because it's the first volume at all published by Manta, who are well known for publishing webtoons. I think if I paid like what I normally pay for a volume, I'd have been happy with it. I know I got a full refund, but in my head it's still like an expensive volume, especially if I'm trying to tell other people if I think it's worthwhile to pick up or not. Basically, she gets married off to this Juke. The Juke does not want people to look at him, so he won't let her look at him, so she has to either be blindfolded or close her eyes whenever she's around him. And yeah, that's a lot of the story so far. She's very sad. She's not had a great life. She's not treated amazingly. She's sort of shuffled around by her father. There are some like slightly more smutty scenes, but not like that intense. There's a lot of fading to black so far. It's okay. It's a raunchy, slightly smutty series with a hunky guy. What I find kind of interesting is I read an article, but then I couldn't find it, so don't completely quote me on this, but I read an article saying that Manta were trying this just to see if there was a demand, or trying to prove that there was a demand for their series. However, I think a good number of the series they do publish have been picked up by other publishers. I think, is it Under the Oak Tree? Is a very popular one, and that's been picked up by Inklaw, which is a new publisher imprint by another publisher, which I've forgotten, which comes out next year. It's the same one that publish Lore of Olympus, I want to say. And then I have not heard any whisper about if they're going to print any more of this series, if they're going to print any other series. It feels a bit weird that it's only Amazon.com. They did kind of say if there was more demand, they might have them stock in other places around the world, but it kind of seems to have gone a bit quiet, unless I've just been floating around the wrong circles, which is completely possible, and I'm just chatting shit. But this seems to have gone a bit more quiet. I feel like they were just trying to prove a point to publishers to pick up their licenses. But I wonder what's happening with this series, at least. I don't want to have to keep shipping them over to be able to complete it. That'd be a right pain. I sometimes get to go over to the US for work, so maybe I just wait and then have them shipped to my hotel. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would say if you're in the US and you like this kind of series, absolutely go for it. But if you're not in the US, I'm not sure I can say it's worthwhile shipping it over especially with the shipping. So the shipping was like, it was like £15.99 and then 23, so it was like £7-8 shipping, which isn't the worst, but it did come in like the thinnest packaging, Amazon packaging I've ever seen. Like even in the UK we don't get packaging that thin. I was not at all surprised. It ended up getting a bit damaged. Getting a full refund was nice, though I did have to argue a bit, and also the first person would let me have a full refund, and then the second person was like, well no, you'll have to return it, and I'm like, well that's not what you said before. And then they went and checked and went, oh, okay, fine, you can have the refund this one time. I'm like, oh, screw you then. I do rant a bit more about the story, I think, in my haul from, I want to say May. It has been a while now since I read it, so I can't remember as much about what I ranted about as I did then. I also made an Instagram post. Anywho, where were we? Dive 1 to 3, that is complete. It is a sports manga about diving. I quite enjoy it. It's probably the first sports manga I had read. It's fine. It pops up secondhand a lot. I would recommend getting it secondhand. Then we have Divine Raiment, Magical Girl, Howling Moon 1 to 3. I think that is complete. This is a series that Ben had been reading because he is a filthy degenerate. But I don't think he's read the last one yet. Do you like Big Girls 1 to 5? Plus You're Up series. I have not started reading. I am also behind on picking it up. It's quite far along, I think. Do you like The Nerdy Nurse? And that is, I think, a one-shot Omni. Have not read this yet. Picked it up secondhand for only a few pounds, I think. Do You Love Your Mom? And a 2-hit multi-target attack 1 to 5. That is manga complete. The light novels are like 11 or 12 volumes complete, so there's definitely going to be story cut out of that. Ben has read this, Ben likes it, he says it's very isekai questionableness, and I'm like, okay, cool. And we have Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor Volume 1, a volume kindly given to me by Yempress. I did really like it, however, I need them to change/sort the age gap. I hope the age gap changes, because at the moment he's like 17, 18, she's 10. but she was 16 and went back in time. So it is a back in time. So mentally, she's 16, and they kind of talk about her bodies and her soul don't quite line up, and they're getting confused. I'm hoping her body ages up, because otherwise I quite enjoyed it. There are some other questionable points in it. Definitely look it up if you're concerned about other red flags. Next we have, does a hot elf live next door to you? 1 to 5. That is complete. I have not yet finished reading it. It's kind of like it is a reverse isekai where like students do placements in different schools in different worlds, and an elf girl's come to Japan because she's a big fan of Japan. Yeah. Then we have Don't Be Cruel 8, 9, 10. I picked these up really recently in Forbidden Planet Leeds, and they are wedged in there, so I can't show you the price, but it was cheap. $2.99, $3.99. Then we have Don't Call Mystery 1 to 4. I was going to say up to date, but I do actually think the next Omni is out yet. I haven't yet started reading it. I'm a little daunted by the hype that it's gotten. I'm worried it's not going to live up to it for me. But I do want to read it. I really, really want to try and read it before the end of the year. We'll see what I can do. Don't Meddle with My Daughter 1 and 2. Not complete. There is a third volume. Ben's been reading this one and has been looking for volume 3 for a long time now, and is a bit bummed. But they did actually announce they're going to do an omnibus, so he's kind of like, I assume at this point I'll just have to get the Omni if I want to complete the series, because we don't think we're going to find the single. Did it even actually print? I have no idea. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro 1 to 12. I had been staying up to date with this series and then fell off this year, so I am a few volumes behind now. I love how vibrant and colourful and rainbow the spines are. It was absolutely the reason that I initially started picking it up. We do have a lot of blues though. I didn't like the first volume that I read. She felt more like a bully over like a tease. I've been told it does tone down a bit and gets more teasing and cutesy later as you go on. But volume 1, I was just kind of like, damn, she's a bit of a bitch, isn't she? Then we have Doombreaker Volume 1. There has been a whole bunch more webtoons coming out this year. I bought a whole bunch during November, so I haven't had a chance to read them yet. But this was one of them. There was like 5 or 6 I started to pick up. Doomsday with My Dog Volume 1. I wasn't massive on this series, hence why I've not rushed to pick more up. I got a bit sad reading it. It's about a woman who's gone through Doomsday, but she's got her dog, and it's just sort of them navigating about, and you get internal thoughts with the dog. And I just got a bit sad reading it, and I don't like feeling sad when I read stuff, so not that keen. Next we have Dorohedoro 1 to 22. I still didn't have 23. Everywhere I find it, it's like over £10, and I'm not paying that. At least it does seem to be back in stock, which is great. I'm still missing 1 volume. It is the last volume, but I'm still missing it, so I'm not going to continue reading it because I was burnt by that already. Is we have Donuts Under a Crescent Moon 1, 2, and 4. It is a 4-volume series, so I am only missing volume 3 to be complete. I understand this is a wholesome GL series. It's one that constantly gets recommended to me, and I think I started picking it up earlier in the year. It's a bit more of a pricey series. All of mine have been on sale or secondhand. I haven't read it, so I can't tell you if it's worth what price I would say to try and buy it at. Then we have Dr. Slump 2, 3, and 8. I heard a rumour that this was getting a reprint. It is by the same manga as Dragon Ball, and I've just randomly grabbed volumes if I've seen them like really cheap, like £2-3 cheap. So I have 3 volumes, but there's like 16, 18. So I'm not particularly close to completing it. Then we have Dr. Stone 1 to 26 and the reboot Byakuya, which is a one-shot around his dad. Now, this is now complete. Dr. Stone completed this year. I'm going to talk some spoileriness about the ending of Dr. Stone. If you're not interested, don't want spoilers, skip along. So I think I love Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone was one of my favourite series. Absolutely adored it. I loved the humour, I loved the science, I loved the trying to kickstart civilization. I found the ending a bit disappointing. I think it's like the ending happened, and I think that's my opinion on the ending, is it happened, I'm not going to spoil like exactly what happened, but my feelings on it was I felt a bit let down. I was a bit sad, but I think with all the build-up, I was like, I have no idea how they're going to wrap it up and have it make sense. I feel like to me, it ended probably around here. I'm trying to think, yeah, I think it was with this one. These volumes around here was where I was like, I was very happy to this point, and then it just got a bit odd. I think it just almost got too fast how much they were doing things. It was like they were trying to now, right, we need to end now, we need to go. And then the whole like explanation about everything that happened, still didn't really get it, and I was like reading up forums and stuff to try and understand it. I just think I felt a little let down, considering I have been reading this series since like volume 3, volume 4 came out many years ago. I really loved it, and I still love to like hear just so sad. So I'm not sure I keep it in my top 10 anymore. I love the series, but not the ending. Right. Moving on. I don't know how to flag that I'm past spoilering. Dragon Ball 1-6 and 1-16 and Dragon Ball Z 1-26, and they are both complete. I have still not continued reading Dragon Ball yet. I haven't done much reading this year of like binging a full series. I've been doing a lot of like random odd volumes here and there, but also this year in itself has just been a bit more harder to read because of personal reasons. I really would love to try and do more next year, but it'll just depend on how things go. I haven't started picking up Super. I think a part of me is almost like waiting assumption there's going to be a box set because it's Dragon Ball. Of course there will be. But I do see them secondhand occasionally, so I could just start picking it up secondhand, potentially. Then we have Drango's House Hunting 1-8. Almost up to date. I am getting volume 9 of Christmas. Love this series so much. I would love to see more people reading it. It's great. It's about a dragon who is not a very good dragon. He doesn't want to go and do dragony things. He just wants to live a quiet life. And he's trying to find a house for that reason. And it's excellent. Wonderful. Very much recommend. It's great. I love it. I also really like the spines. I think colours on the spines are really nice. Also, this guy's great. Next, we have Dragon King's Imperial Wrath. Falling in love with the bookish princess of the Rat Clan 1 and 2. This is up to date. I think it might be complete at 3. But don't quote me again on that. I do chat shit a lot in these, don't I? It's a fantasy romance around the Chinese zodiac, where the Dragon King is trying to find a bride, and all the different animal clans have sent a princess to determine who should his new bride be, and he ends up falling for the Rat Clan princess, which is kind of unheard of. Apparently it's usually the cats or the bunnies or something, and he ends up going for the rat one, and everyone's kind of like, eh. And they're soulmates or something, but the rat princess isn't that interested. She's just sort of gone along because she has to, and it's okay. It's not worth, I'd say, its RRP or 3 for 2 prices. I would try and wait for a deal because it's a big 7Cs. Its RRP is like $13, $14.99 nowadays. It's hard to find it cheaper than £9. I would definitely try and wait to find it cheaper than £9. Even cheaper than £8 if possible. It's a fun fantasy-ish romance, but it's fine. The bottom shelf is always the hardest, just because it's so low down and my gimbal doesn't like it. So first off, we have the Dragon Knight's Beloved 1-5. I am getting 6 for Christmas, I want to say. Another fantasy romance. She has an affinity for dragons. This knight has moved out. That's also a friend. They kind of have feelings. She's moved out to the countryside to his manor or something, and she's followed along to work there, and she has an affinity with the dragons and such. There's some bits of drama. It's a fun read. It's, again, I wouldn't say outstanding, but it does pop up on sales quite often. Then we have Dragon Quest The Adventure of Die 1-5, and I would say I'm up to date. I can't say I'm complete because there is still more, but it doesn't look like at the moment Viz is going to print it. Looks like Viz didn't make much or do great sales with these, so is not printing more for the foreseeable future, which is a shame, because it's Dragon Quest, and I love Dragon Quest. Hey ho. It's interesting though, because I think it's been a while since that sort of thing's happened. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, like the last one I can think of is like Gintama. I don't think they've also have they officially said they're not? I don't know. Maybe I'm again chatting shit. Next we have Dragon's Crown 1 and 2, and that's complete by Udon Entertainment, based on a video game, I want to say. Ben has read them and liked them. I did actually swap a spare copy I got with mainly Manga, and he hated it. He really hated it. And he blames me, even though I showed him a picture of what I had to swap, and he chose it! He chose it after this, I didn't force it upon him! Ugh. Next we have DRCL Volume 1, and I do realise in hindsight that it does actually have the hashtag, like, in the title, so I probably should move this to be with my, like, punctuation at the start of the alphabet, like .hack. Hey ho, it's here for now. I wasn't going to pick this volume up because I heard it was a bit horror-y. I don't like that. And then it was in Sci-Fi Daily Deals for actually a decent price, and I was suckered in by the sale. Suckered in. I haven't yet read it. Then we have Dragon Quest Monsters Plus 1-5. I haven't finished reading this series. Ben has. Ben likes it. It was tricky to find some of the volumes. Like, we ended up, one of them was at the back of a shelf, I think, in a Travelling Man. It is a hard to find series nowadays. Sometimes you see them secondhand, but I don't think you'd find them in store anymore. Next we have The Dragon's Betrothed 1 and 2. I have read Volume 1, but not Volume 2. Volume 1, I was kind of expecting more smut. There was no smut. It was plastic wrapped. There was no smut. Very disappointed. I have been reassured that there is smut in Volume 2, so I am taking that to heart. There better be. It's about a guy who's a writer, and he moves back to his, like, hometown in the country to try and continue writing, and he ends up befriending a dragon who's like, we're getting married now, or something, basically, along those lines. Then we have Dragon Rioting 1-9, and that is complete. Managed to find Volume 3 this year. Volume 3 is very hard to find. I actually found it at the Travelling Man Warehouse sale for £3. I actually did get a second copy in case anyone else happens to be looking for it, just because I know how hard it is to find in the crazy prices people charge online. It's not an amazing series, so I was quite glad to not have to pay silly prices for it. It's a over-the-top, booby, fighty, high school faction gang sort of thing. If any of those keywords I shouted made sense, I'm so sorry. Alright, then we have Dreaming Sun 1-10, and I do not like Dreaming Sun. I think Dreaming Sun has so many concerning problems with it that I never see anyone talk about, and I don't get it. I'm weird with age gaps. I'm fine with an age gap if it's handled well. I am not fine with an age gap if they just kind of ignore it. And I feel like Dreaming Sun was one where they did definitely ignore it more than others. There are some points where I just didn't get the relationship of the two characters. They didn't seem to even like each other, or one of them was just sort of infatuated and the other was just sort of allowing it. I also think the maturity between the two characters was just completely in the wrong direction. So the younger character was horrendously immature, and the older character was way more mature than their age, which I think also does not help in an age gap pairing. Also, there was the whole, like, relationship with this character and the other another character, where there was, I'm not going to say because it's a big spoiler, but there was a whole thing in the we find out, and it's like, I don't think I've ever pulled such a disturbed, confused face reading about his ending in Volume 10. I don't have to describe more without spoiling it. I really want to do a video where I just rant about this series. I might do that. It's not going to be very long, but I can just then go for it and talk about other age gap series and like what I think in different age gaps make them okay or more fine to read than others, because it is a very sensitive topic, and I just find it kind of interesting what people find acceptable and what people don't. Also, some of the things where you see like kids on TikTok or Twitter being like, oh yeah, an age gap of like 2 years is disgusting. It's like, I mean, there reaches a point where like it's really not. If you're like 13 and 16, it's weird, but if like you're over 18, 20, it's really not. I mean, there's 3 years between me and my partner. It's not weird. It's not weird at all. Anywho, that was quite a rant. Apologies. It's the end of that show. Thank you so much for watching part 4 of the manga collection tour. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in part 5. Bye!